What's up, everyone? Welcome to Roman's Creative Academy. I'm Jay.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to talk about something that's not so sexy, that a lot of people don't really like to talk about, know that this kind of position exists, and how important it is in your real estate business, right? Whether you are keeping for yourself, whether you are wholesaling, I think this specific role for your business is important, right?
And what is that role, Jay?
And that is a transaction coordinator. So a TC, or a transaction coordinator, saves us a ton of time when we're, turning and churning our deals.
Yep, absolutely. So just to give you guys just like a quick Spark Notes version of what a transaction coordinator is, basically what they do is they help us as the real estate company, whether we're wholesaling the deal, we're keeping it, we're flipping it, whatever that may look like. They help us to make sure that they can coordinate everything with us, the seller. If there is a buyer that we brought on, they coordinate with the buyer and the attorney and the title company. Because honestly, a lot of people think that once you get a signed purchase and sale agreement, the deal's done. That's just step one of about 100 that you have to get through until closing. There's different things that you need to do, and if you are deciding that you'd like to do volume or do more deals, you as a business owner or the acquisition manager or whatever that may be can only handle so many things at once. And if you start to put your focus into one deal and one deal only, you're letting everything else go. So the biggest part about your business is delegating the tasks so you can focus on income producing activities. And a transaction coordinator, I would say, is probably one of the most important roles and people or companies, whoever you use, that you can have on your side and on your team.
Yep. And then for someone who's maybe like a newbie or it has been in the game for a little bit, when would you say you need a transaction coordinator?
Honestly, I would say if you're doing like 1-2 deals a month, it's always good at the end of the day to delegate as fast as you can. So I wouldn't say that there's like a necessary like cutoff, like, if you're doing 3 deals or more, then you need a TC. If you're consistently doing deals and you have a business model where you would like to consistently do this type of business, then I always think it's important that you bring in a TC, whether it's 1 deal a month or 20.
And then as you guys may know, we do a lot of creative deals, but we have gotten the question of, do you need this for cash deals?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, regardless of what kind of deal it is, there is more paperwork involved from start to finish with a creative finance deal. But even with a cash deal, at the end of the day, you're going to be spending your time coordinating with the seller, making sure if there's any city requirements, who's going to be setting that up. Is it you? If it's you, then that takes a lot of time out of your day. Making sure that the title company has everything they need. If you don't have this person on your team, that all falls back on you as the business owner. And that is a lot of admin type tasks that will pull you away from making new deals.
Yeah. So we love just to say right from the beginning, if you can, get a TC. And you might be thinking, okay, guys, yes, I would love to have a TC, but how much is it? Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. Just to give you guys an example, one of our students, they got their first creative finance deal with us about 2 weeks ago. And of course it was their first creative finance deal. They're not doing a ton of deals consistently at the moment, but we had told them, let's get you set up with a TC. Let's get you to start delegating some of these tasks so you can focus on getting more deals in the door. Now, it depends on what your exit strategy is with the deal when it comes to who pays for the transaction coordinator. So if you're going to be wholesaling or assigning a deal, typically the buyer is responsible for paying for that. A lot of transaction coordinators will require 50% of their fee up front. Some charge $700, some charge $1,000, some charge $2,000. It just depends what their fees are. And typically you as the wholesaler, if you were assigning it, will pay their fee 50% of it up front, And at closing, you will get reimbursed your portion that you put in, and then the buyer will also bring the second half of that money to get the transaction coordinator paid. So it's actually free to you as a wholesaler or somebody that is assigning a creative deal to have a transaction coordinator. So in my eyes, if they're doing all this work for free, technically for you, at the end of the day, I think it's 100% worth it. Now, if you're keeping the deal, obviously you're responsible to pay.
And even then, when we purchase, we use a transaction coordinator because those are things that take away from our day-to-day, what we have to do on our day-to-day stuff.
Absolutely. And you have to break this stuff down in your business. How much is your time worth in the business? If I'm spending, or Jay's spending 2 hours on the phone with a title company, and over the course of 30 days from start to finish, maybe you have accumulated that you talked with the sellers, the buyers, the title company for 6, 7, 8 hours. Those 6, 7, 8 hours, you could have just paid $750, $1,000 to do. Now you're doing it just to save a buck, but those 8 hours could have went towards you making another deal with maybe a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 assignment fee. So how much is your time really worth to you?
And then I feel like we've gotten this question a lot, and that's, what if the buyer gives us pushback on this? How do we mitigate that?
Well, in our assignment forms, we have them sign off that any transaction coordinator fee that is charged throughout the process is their responsibility. That's one. So that's how it's in writing that everybody's safe. Step 2 is they're part of our team. They're part of our company, and we're providing them a service. Because at the end of the day, we're getting them all the necessary information they need, so when they close, it's a turnkey operation. They can log into the portal, make the payments if it's a sub-2 deal. They have all the authorizations that they need. They have all the proper information to get this done without lifting a finger. And yes, they're paying for that service, but again, how much is their time worth? Because we could tell them if we don't use the TC, who's going to be getting this information for you, right? And this is our process. And if you guys, as a buyer, you don't like the process, we understand, but then maybe we're just not a good fit. And as you saw in our video from last week, we talked about if a buyer is not willing to work with your standards as the business owner, business is business, it's no hard feelings, but maybe it's just not the right fit.
Yep, and I love that because we have to stick to a process, right? And treating everyone the same and not making exceptions for people because we have a process that works, right?
Absolutely. Now, I guess, what do they handle, Jay? Like, give a quick breakdown, like very top level for, say, a sub-2 deal. What does our TC handle from the time that we get the seller, the buyer, all the way to closing?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And you touched upon it a little bit with, if we need like a certificate of occupancy from the township or the county, they handle that. They also do what we call touch points. So they talk to the buyer and the seller and give them updates every week, letting them know, hey, we're at this point in the transaction, or hey, we need this from you. And that's another thing that they get. So if there's anything like, say, for a sub-2, a mortgage statement that needs to be pulled because we went into a new month, they will actually coordinate that with the seller and get that information. And they also coordinate anything that the title company or the attorney may need. And when closing comes, they also facilitate our mobile notaries. So where everyone's going to sign, at what time, everything is in their hands to handle to make sure that all documentation and funding is received by the escrow agent, aka title company or attorney, on time and correctly.
And just to get a little bit more deep, for a sub-2 deal, there's such thing as a pre-closing packet and then a closing packet. The pre-closing packet is inclusive of utility sheet information, seller information, a subject to addendum, mortgage login info. And they have to get the sellers to fill this stuff out. Again, we're more than capable to do it, but it does take time to text the seller, set up a phone call, draft those forms, go through it with them, have them sign it. If we have 10 deals in escrow right now, if we took that much time that's just 10 hours in terms of pre-closing packets that we had to do. Now closing binder or closing packet is different. That's all the stuff that you would need for a sub-2 deal, authorizations to release, all that good information they actually will draft, send to us for review. As soon as we green light it, they put it all together with all the documents from the attorney, and then, like Jay said, schedule the mobile notaries and have everybody sign.
And that's something I want to clarify, right? So the documents that Mike is talking about, these are documents that we get in addition to what the attorney puts together, right? These aren't documents that the attorney drafts up. The attorney does like the deed, the mortgage, the no, if there's a no, stuff like that. But in terms of additional forms that we need for a sub-2, that is all on us to get on our side. So that's why the TC is really important, to make sure that they hit all of those documents, that they're correct, and all that good stuff. So I want to go into how we found our TC, because we have had a story where we had a TC in-house. And if you guys don't know, I used to be a real estate paralegal. I did much commercial, not residential, and I didn't do creative, so some of the things transferred, but not everything. So I knew what it was to take a deal all the way to the finish line. But again, my time is worth a little more, and I could be doing other things for our business than doing the transactional stuff, right? So how did we find our TC?
Absolutely. So we actually found our TC very simple. We went into a creative finance Facebook group. We typed in transaction coordinators that work in our state and the states that we do business. And honestly, we just looked for the recommendations of people who recommended the same person over and over and over again. We interviewed about 4 of them, and we wind up coming out with the one that we wind up using now. And that kind of leads us into our last topic here is, like, Jay, what do you think? Like, and we're gonna leave this up to you guys. We're gonna want you to comment below, let us know what you think. But Jay, do you think we should set up like an interview with our TC and see like if we could do like that would be pretty cool, I think.
I think so. TCs, especially other companies, or if you're gonna have in-house, there are certain things you're gonna look for, right? And their services are all different. So you have to make sure that you are hiring the right TC for the services that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So let us know if this is something that you're interested in. We will 100% have our TC come on, talk about what it is that they do for us. And if you have any questions, just watching this video, let us know in the comments, and we'll get those answered with our TC. So for next week, that is what we are looking for from you guys. We hope that this video was helpful. Do you have any final words?
I don't. Just let us know in the comments below if it's something that you want. She'd be probably more than happy to come on here and talk with everybody. And with that being said, guys, we hope that you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in as always.
And we'll see you next week.
See you later, guys.
Bye.